Hello, everybody. Hello, can you hear me okay? How are we doing? Can you hear me? Yeah. Can you hear me in the back? You can. Hi, Fareed. Good to see everybody. Excellent work on choosing your programming for a Thursday night. I commend you all. Thanks for being here at the Poetry Center for a poetry reading, which is more important than ever, to do things like go to poetry readings and to think about poetry, to listen to what poetry can do for us. And so I'm grateful to you for choosing this. Thanks for this. Maybe we give a round of applause to poetry and say thank you. It's a lucky art form, and we all get to be a part of it. And you're choosing to do that tonight, and I'm grateful for it. A few things I want to say really quickly. My name is Tyler Meyer. I work as the director here at the Poetry Center with a great team of folks that help run the Poetry Center. I want to invite you, if you've not been to the Poetry Center before, when we're open and our library is available, to come visit us. There's a great new exhibit that's up in the Poetry Center. Come spend some time and come visit the books and learn about the things that happen in a day-to-day way at the Poetry Center when you can. This program tonight is our Tom Sanders Memorial Reading. And we offer this in memory of a great supporter of the Poetry Center, of the University of Arizona, of Tucson, of letters to the editors' columns everywhere, Thom Sanders, who's a dear friend, and we offer this reading in his memory. He was a fixture of the Poetry Center's Development Council. He was a huge part of the work to build this facility when it was completed in Tucson. How many of you remember when this building was completed? Good, okay, some of you. So we're excited to celebrate Tom's memory and his legacy with this annual event that we do at the Poetry Center. And in particular, we try to honor voices that have a close connection to the University of Arizona through this work. So thanks for being here and helping us to do that tonight. We're especially excited for these two poets that are here with us. And so Richard Siken has traveled all the way from the east side of Reed Park to be with us this evening, which is lucky. And so he was just on time. And we're really thrilled to celebrate his latest book, all of his work, but his latest book, I Do Know Some Things, which we just found out earlier this week on Tuesday, was named as a finalist for the National Book Award this year. So a big round of applause for Richard. And thanks for helping us wish him well as he travels on after this reading and eventually goes to New York for the finalist ceremony for the National Book Awards later in November. We're also thrilled equally to welcome back Mathias Svalina to Tucson, who's been delighting us with his capacious imagination for years. Mathias will create iterations of 2 projects while he's here. And so I'm wondering how many of you have had dreams delivered to you in the past? Some of you have. Some of you are like, what's he talking about? Some of you have had dreams delivered. How many of you have gone on a dream history tour in the past? Okay, great. The good news is you can do both of these things now if you've not done it before, and this is your opportunity. This October, Mathias will be delivering Dreams, which is a project where he creates individual dreams for a series of subscribers. You'll get your own dream every day during the term of the delivery service, which is October 12th to the 26th. And there are options to sign up for a nominal fee, and that you can learn about over here from my friend Damien, who's got information about this on my right. If you're within a 4-mile radius of the Poetry Center, Mathias delivers these dreams by bicycle to you every day in a small pink envelope. If you've not done it, I promise you'll be delighted and astonished by what happens. The Dream History Tours, there'll be 2 of those while those are here, and these are kind of both real and imagined iterations where those 2 things intersect about the history of a place. And one will depart from the Poetry Center on October 25th at 11 a.m., and one will depart from Mocha Tucson, a great partner in this work, on November 1st at 11 a.m. Those are both free experiences, and I promise you, no tour will be as good as this tour. And you'll learn something new about the place where you make your life, your home, through the surrealism of Mathias Svalina. So join us for those, and you can learn more about those at poetry.arizona.edu and sign up to get dreams delivered to you over here after the reading. This construction project that's out to my right, that was a giant alleyway for many, many years for our whole history in this building, will soon be a garden area and park-like space. And I promise you the next time you come to the Poetry Center, that will be the case. And that will be named the McCausland Smith Gardens here at the Poetry Center. And over time, it's going to grow into a beautiful new area. So a round of applause for construction projects that end. And those cheers were from my staff because we've heard a lot of construction noise and equipment while we've been waiting for this to be done. We're excited for this and excited to welcome you back to the Poetry Center with that space. Coming up, there's a couple things I want to make sure you know about. If you don't have our calendar, these are available on the table in the breezeway. This will tell you everything that's happening at the Poetry Center that's coming up soon. On October 23rd, we have a reading with former US Poet Laureate Tracy K. Smith behind her new book, Fear Less, Poetry in Perilous Times. And that reading will happen nearby. It's going to be in the Health Sciences Innovation Building, about a 5-minute walk from the Poetry Center. Some of our events have happened there in the past. If you've got questions about that, come and ask me about it. It's about 5 minutes from here on foot. And we're thrilled about that. That's October 23rd, Thursday night, 7 o'clock in the HSIB building. And then on October 30th, we're really excited to welcome two of our great colleagues in the creative writing program, Farid Matuk and Susan Briante, behind their wonderful new books. That'll be back here at the Poetry Center at 7 o'clock. Please come join us for both of those readings coming up. I want to make sure that I thank the amazing Andrew Monson and New Michigan Press for making the free broadsides for us this evening. So if you've grabbed one of those, did anybody not get one of those broadsides? You all did. What a gift. Everyone's been blessed. So Ander does these out of the goodness of his heart, and these memorialize the reading in a really special way. There's work from both Richard and Mathias on those. If you're missing some of those and are looking for them, we've got maybe a couple extra that we can share with you. We'll try to connect you with those. We're thrilled that Ander does this, and thanks so much. And let's give him a big round of applause as well. After the reading, we'll skip a Q&A, but both authors are excited to sign books, and Richard's books will be for sale over here. Mathias's are for sale over here on my right. Come up and buy those books, and both poets will be excited to talk with you and sign books for you. I'm going to sit down. I'm going to welcome up two colleagues that will introduce our poets, and that's Andrew Monson and Susan Briante. Again, both colleagues in the creative writing programs. We're thrilled that they're here to help us. Please help me welcome up Susan Briante, who will tell us more about Mathias Svalina. Thanks for being here.
Ooh, look at you. I hadn't looked back for a while. This place has filled up nicely. Mathias Svalina. I had brunch with Mathias about a week ago, maybe a little less. And he told me the best introduction I could do would be a roast. So here goes. Mathias Svalina is a craven capitalist who sells you dreams to make money. Do you know how lucrative a dream delivery service is? Well, you're gonna find out when you see this guy. You know what Mathias said to me at that brunch? He said, "Who gives a shit about poetry books?" And this guy has gone on to publish 8 of them. The most recent one of which is called Thank You, Terror, which is a beautiful and tender book about a beautiful and tender world. God damn it, Mathias. It's impossible to roast you because you're so singularly unique, and I admire you so much. Because you've not only created a new genre, the dream, but a new form of publication and distribution, and in doing so, found and forged new ways of creating community. For more than a decade, Mathias has operated a dream delivery service, something that he calls, quote, a nomadic literary arts project of permeable dreaming. He began in Denver, which was his hometown at the time, and has taken him to cities across the US. And as Tyler alluded to, for a month at a time, he bicycles through the near dawn hours to hand deliver surrealist prose poem dreams in pink envelopes to subscribers within a 4-mile radius of his home base. He once told a reporter at the Denver Post, quote, "It feels like what I'm born to do, write these weird little things." the dream delivery empire, and here's where I get back to the roast, because clearly he's a craven capitalist and now a colonizer of all of the dream territories, has taken him to at least 11 cities and now includes dream walking and audio tours, as well as dream prompts, even dream beasts. How could you? He's been involved in collaborations with the Denver Museum of Contemporary Art, the Poetry Foundation, the U of A Poetry Center, Austin Modern, Tucson MoCA, and the Just Buffalo Literary Center. He has said, quote, "A lot of what I do every day is collect as much as I can of the world and churn it back out in these dreams," which is more than making a poem. It's a practice and something that's a little holy. In his new book, he writes, quote, "I'm picking lives from the grass and pasting them together into a prayer." At a time when our interdependence has never been more apparent, when the capitalist drive for competition and accumulation has proven one of the greatest, if not the greatest, threats to humanity, here's one small alternative. Instead of looking for a publisher or an agent, maybe you write dreams, ride your bike, create some before unimagined possibility for a stranger who will open a pink envelope and discover something new about the place they live or themselves. Mathias Svalina is an anti-capitalist who creates dreams and doesn't care about money. He's a dream delivery person, a dream carrier. And the last words in his latest book are, "Thank you, you are loved." Please help me to welcome Mathias Svalina.
Hey, y'all. Thank you. And thank you, Poetry Center, for having me. And shout out to Tom Sanders and all the great friends of this center who are present and who have passed. And yeah, you included. So yeah, for the last decade, I've worked on this book called Thank You, Terror. And I've written something like 40,000 dreams. So I'm going to read all of them to you tonight. I'm going to read a handful of poems from the book and a handful of dreams. The through line, as you might suspect, is that I wrote them. All the poems in the book are called Thank You, Terror. Dreams have no titles. Thank you, Terror. There is no loneliness in noise, no lies in a stylus. When the banjo sings and the voice sings, a song becomes a dawn. Let us live just for each other in life's weary struggle here. Let us have faith. Let it pour from us like dirt, like a song that ends in the moment it begins. Thank you, Terror. I made of myself a commodity and then was appalled to be bought. I held joy like an object, solid as flame. We each have a right to our terror. We each have a duty to know how the woods give us light in their burning. The last thought a friend thought before the fentanyl stops her heart. A blank domino tile, tenderly. Thank you, Terror. In the compound city, I made a ball gag of me. My body replies in hospital, in shut door, in moon. Any white thing shaped like my face, like an object what makes me a man can be lost and found. No, I made a ball gag out of me, a box of analysis, prayers of loons and crickets, and that's not my heart, that's the rat gnawing through my ribs. When I say man, I mean a weapon. When I say me, I mean a fiction. Some events only happen every night. But when the TV laugh track laughs for me, I feel bad for the TV. A body is a border only money can cross uncontested. What does it mean to change when change is a commodity? My favorite part of any day is the part when men are terrified. My favorite part of the Bible is when they all go to Little Caesars. Thank you, Terror. Sarah has been texting someone she thought was Joe for a day or so, and he kept telling her he had no idea who she was, and she kept being like, oh, that is just so Joe. When she asked Not Joe for Chris's number, Not Joe said, I don't know this Chris, but here's my friend Trevor's number, and sent his friend Trevor's number. The self has no geography, ecosystem, or economy, but neither does a chessboard or a gunshot or a home. I don't know how we learn anything. I don't know how or if we change. I want to be here for you reading this, whoever you are. I'm tired of the cathedrals art makes of art. Call me if you can't think of anyone else who might listen. If you need someone to listen, here's my number, 718-986-8295. This poem takes place at the Chili's at the Tucson airport, which is a truth. Thank you, Terror. Yes, every night pain does come from a different place. There is nothing but that thing just down the road, down there, beyond the trees. Do you see it? It takes a long time to become what you were when one who loved you looked at you with all that love. We never know what holds us in the dark, only that it is dark. Only that we are held. And these few moments at the Chili's, at the airport, feeling love's clenched jaws unbite its laws, they are worth it for as long as they are impossible to define. Thank you, Terror. Baus and I are catcalling families as we drive through Georgia. Like, nice family, very supportive, very good complexions. I want to chronicle the bulk of the suffering and joy, but just because others pronounce a word one way does not give you providence over the petty problems and Susquehannas of the dark. This is my dream house, fuckface. I'm riding shotgun with the bats while the world dangles all the anguish you can handle that makes you drink another glass of room temp water from the tap. I'm thinking of the last time I ran into Bill Cassidy in Williamsburg and we were both like, we should hang out soon, but New York being the what that it is, we knew that we probably would not. And then Jules telling me he had killed himself and finding this out at the AWP conference. And we wept and looked at stacked books on sale for the table of the University of California Press. I picked up a book and opened it at random, but each page was blank. And when I put the book down, I had no lines in the palms of my hands and no hole into which I would not drown. And didn't I envy Bill his strength of will then? I did envy his ability to empty an entire house. I'd like to run into Bill once more and do something to ease his suffering, give him a hug, or listen to him, or prop him up in a good suit with a nice family, very supportive, or nice complexions, riding matching mountain bikes through a Georgia suburb, or empty my bank account into whatever he needed to put in his body to stay alive one more day in a world where he is loved. But instead, I'm crying on this airplane, and there's a baby crying too, and I can't tell my tears from his screams, and soon this whole plane load we will weep ourselves into steel poles and sit atop them like ghosts. Which is all to say, I fear I'll see Bill one day in the distance, instantly recognizable but wearing white gloves. Is all to say I've got a blind spot shaped like a body-shaped hole in my heart. And who is Sleep's ear? Who's keeping all these debts? When I get home, I'm reading everything in my bookshelves on fire. I'm going to keep it all in until the alarm rings and then ceases ringing. I'm going to burn this world back into a coke binge, into a compound city, into a single word. All I want to write about is suffering. All I want to write about is salvation. There is room, but you do need to make the world each day. And you are loved. You are loved. You are loved. A dream. A crying stranger rushes to you and hands you some papers. What are these, you say? It's our divorce papers, the stranger says. The divorce is now finalized. Tears roll from the stranger's eyes. But we were never married, you say. We've never even met. I know, the crying stranger says. That's what makes it all so sad. A creak wraps around your wrist like a bracelet. Your loved one has died, and you are given the option of burial, cremation, or dandelion. You choose dandelion. The next day, you return for the remains. A single dandelion, the top a white halo of seed. You step outside. The wind pulls the seeds from the dandelion, one by one. Yeah, feel free to heckle. That was not a good heckle. There. That's what I like to hear. This dream, I think, is about grad school. Or maybe it's autobiographical, about me right here, right now. All the dreams are in second person. I write them for people, and I bike around and deliver them to them. Contrary to what Susan said, I didn't invent dreams. You are in clown school, learning juggling and unicycling, pantomime and buffoonery. But now you have advanced to the upper levels of the clown school curriculum, working on theory of clown and clownetics and critical clownery. In one class, you must clown an overripe mango on a bare table without touching the fruit, without saying the word mango. The true clown is inside, your instructor repeats mantra-like as she walks through the room. In the next class, you have a guest lecturer, a clown who has been clowning professionally for 80 years. The instructor introduces the old clown. The clown walks to the podium. You and the other clown students clap politely. The clown moves the podium to the side of the room, then sits on a stool. He pantomimes a mirror before him, pantomiming looking at himself and examining his wrinkles and flaws until you and the other clown students are transformed into his mirror, the nexus of the old clown's anxieties. Then the clown pantomimes removing the clown makeup from his face. As he wipes his hand on his face, a stripe of his face disappears. You can see the far wall right through him. He mimes wiping his face again, and his nose and right eye disappear. He mimes wiping his face again, and there goes his cheek and his ear. Soon he has no face at all. Then he moves on to his neck and chest, working his way slowly and methodically, wiping away his body until he has erased his entire self in the mirror of your gaze. And it is not until he has disappeared entirely that you realize you are heavier, more full of the world you always knew you were a part of, but never wanted to be a part of. This one's for Tyler. You are a child riding the bus to elementary school. Jim Morrison of the rock and roll band The Doors is the bus driver. Whenever the bus approaches a red light, Jim shouts, "Should we break on through to the other side?" Huh? Should we? And you and all the other kids cheer and shout, "Yes, yes, yes." But each time Jim slows the bus and carefully stops at the red light, where he waits for it to go green before proceeding through the intersection. But each time that he approaches another red light, Jim shouts out, "Should we break on through to the other side?" And each time you feel the thrill of possibility, of danger's pull. Each time, even knowing he will not drive through the red light, the thrill is beautiful. Each time you feel the thrill of danger, even knowing that the danger is not real, the thrill is real. You keep a handful of bumblebees in your pocket, sprinkling them into the world wherever they are needed. You sneeze so loudly you crack a grackle in half. So I've spent this is the last dream, spent the last 11 years writing these, and one weird thing about having to write almost every day, write poems to pay the bills, is that you have to just keep writing them no matter what happens. And my little brother died unexpectedly. He woke up with a headache, and by noon he was dead. And I was writing dreams for people, and they had paid me for this. And it was a weird moment of kind of being in this playful space while feeling this intense grief. So this is one I wrote for my little brother. You know, he was among, you know, when you die, people get to talk about the cool things about you, but they also love to talk about everything you were bad at, and they love to share all the stories of when you were an idiot. And because we're all idiots, you know, that's why love is important, because we can also do the other thing. My brother was really bad at drums. You were playing drums in a basement. You bang at the tom and the hi-hat, crash the cymbals, clang the bell. You were not the best drummer in terms of rhythm and whatnot. Sorry, I think that's very funny. Just to laugh at my own joke. You're not the best drummer in terms of rhythm and whatnot. But what you may not have in technical precision, you make up for in spirit, in brio, in joie de vivre, in glee, in delight, in fervor, in jubilance, in exult, in ecstasy, in rapture, in halos, in light, in life, in rejoice, in treasure, in transport, in moments, in width, in passion, in swoon, in aura, in rhapsody, in sibilance, in sequoia, in rage, in roar, in spirit, in epiphany, in halos, in light, in shadow, in blossom, in healing, in bloom, in felicity, in galaxy, in elixir, in catapult, in sugar, in exalt, in halos, in light, in flames, in wells, in lauding, in weeping, in revel, in voice, in wave, in howl, in blossom, in bloom, in treasure, in crash, in chaparral, in mystery, in halos, in light, in halos, in light, in storm, in scrawl, in halos, in light, in clay, in color, in halos, in light, in hint, in savor, in halos, in light, in essence, in substance, in halos, in light, in dapple, in patter, in cheek, in speckle, in truth, in typo, in halos, in light, in flames, in flight, in marble, in ash, in halos, in light, in skin, in throat, in spark, in spit, in halos, in light, sequoia, and willow, blinking, in blink, in if, in so, in with, in halos, in light, in want, in loss, in halos, in light, 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 in halos, in light. Thank you for listening.
Damn. That was great. So it's good to see all of you. My job is to make some jokes between the serious poems. I'm Ander Munson. I wear a lot of hats. So I'm trying a thing. I've not practiced this at all. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna put these over here and we're gonna see how this goes. There are two ways I'm not supposed to be here tonight to introduce Richard Siken. One big way and one small way. The big one. I got some bad health news almost exactly 3 years ago. As a result of that, it seemed more than possible that I would not be standing in front of you this evening. Turns out I still am though, which is big. Yeah. That's kind of changed my relationship with time and with waking up and with everything else to some degree, which might feel small, but is in fact big. So here's the small way I wasn't supposed to be here tonight. Today, my dad turns 80. To celebrate the occasion, my brother and I were planning on throwing him a party up in our hometown in Upper Michigan. We had done a lot of planning. We put the effort in. It was hard to get to even in good weather, and October is always a bit of a question mark. We weren't sure if we should even tell him. Maybe we should just show up and do it as a surprise. But we did decide to tell him, which was the right call. He didn't like the idea much, however, and for unclear reasons, he called it off. I wish I could tell you why. This is just a small thing. Big shapes move through the peripheries of our lives. Sometimes we get caught on them, eaten by them, plowed under by them. They're sometimes so big, they cannot even be recognized, much less named, until after the fact, if at all. It reminds me of this video game I've been playing, Rain World, which is a platformer-style game in which you play a weird little creature called a slug cat, a combination slug and cat, more cat than slug, happily, accidentally separated from its family, trying to survive in a big, rundown, and beautiful post-industrial world filled with creatures, many very big and very strange, mostly trying to eat or kill you. But you don't matter to them except as food. You encounter big G gods in this game, but you don't know what they are as they move through the world, and you move through the world in unrelated ways. And you don't need to understand what is happening. You just need to survive. Your goal is to find enough food in the time you have in each cycle, usually between 6 and 14 minutes before the rain comes and everything floods, as it might do this weekend, which is big. If you find a safe place to hibernate until the next cycle, your reward is you get to keep going, doing it again and again, and you try to find your way to new areas to maybe, hopefully, maybe eventually reunite with your family of slug cats who probably miss you a lot. So you keep doing it, except when you don't, which is often. It is a very hard game, and it is very easy to be killed, and that means you lose your progress and you wake up and you try the level again. I am not religious, but I do find it moving to be very small among very big things in a game. Most games are power fantasies where you are special or awesome and have powers and are chosen, or you learn to kick ass and beat bosses and win wins and save worlds. In most games, you may be physically small, but in the ways that matter, you end up being big. But this game is different. You are no hero. You are no god. You are small, small, forgotten, abandoned, of no consequence except as a small meal to everything else you encounter in the game. But your smallness gives you power, too. You can creep through cracks and climb through the world unnoticed and try to avoid the big gods and the big predators and the big killing, flooding everything rain, and you explore and find beautiful abandoned things. Some of these beautiful abandoned things are big, like the industrial wastes, and some of them are small, like flowers and mushrooms. You can fight and kill enemies, both small and, if you're lucky, big, or you can avoid them, which is mostly what you do. One of the most remarkable things about growing up or living in Upper Michigan, where I'm from, is being surrounded by big, beautiful, abandoned things. The landscape is an overgrown ruin of extractive capitalism. Go into a forest and you might stumble on an only probably boarded up copper or iron ore mine, or a huge chunk of mining equipment, rusted and mossed and snowed over, or strange holes you find sometimes in the ground, or the carcinogenic mine tailings, big mining dumped in the lakes that you're not supposed to swim in or eat fish from, but a lot of people do anyway. It is a big, ruined world, and we, small people, live in the past of it, which is also the present of it. This is, of course, also our big, ruined world in Tucson, where we try to get by and go to poetry readings in the shadow of big international strip mining conglomerates and big missile manufacturers. And we smalls, you and I and Richard Siken and Mathias Svalina and Susan Briante and Tyler Meyer and all of us here in the room just live in it and try to survive long enough to do it again tomorrow. Maybe we write some poems in the ruin between the Red Lobsters and the Rage Rooms and the Jimmy Johns and the First Amendment sports and the Wiener Schnitzels and the really way too many numerous mattress stores, which there are a lot of in Tucson. I don't know if you've noticed. After all, what is the alternative? So as you may know, Richard Siken is a graduate of the MFA in creative writing at the U of A, where I teach. This might be big or it might be small, depending on your point of view. I knew this before I joined the faculty in the year that the hip-hop duo Das Racist released the big, to me, song combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell. Like all of us, Das Racist is in the long term small, and also Richard Siken is ultimately small by comparison to the very many big things ruining our world. But here I want you to know that Richard Siken's work is very big. He too had a bad health crisis a few years ago, which was and is big. His world got smaller for a while, and then slowly it began to open back up and get bigger again. He wrote a book about the smallness and the embiggening, it's a perfectly cromulent word, which is big. I Do Know Some Things is a book of poems. It's also a book of essays. It's a combination book of poems, book of essays. I guess it is, oh no, I didn't plan this. I guess it is small, whether that dumb joke lands, but some days small things are what you have. It does matter in a big way that Richard Siken wrote this really big book, this latest in a series of great books, which are also all big, and you should read them if you haven't. It also does matter that I Do Know Some Things was announced this week as a finalist for the National Book Award. Yeah, that's right, they do have taste, it turns out. Is that small or is it big? I'm not sure yet. It's a big honor, and it's big to be recognized for such big work, but that kind of recognition is small by comparison with the work that the artist does in sitting down at the table to write every morning, or however mornings we are writing in after however much coffee and however much suffering. I mean, it's small by comparison with waking up and being alive, which I am and which Richard Siken is, which is big. It's a combination big and small is what I mean. It's big to be seen, to be making big work, to be read, which is small, and which is also big. To be not dead is much bigger. To be here with you to read that work so many years after the release of combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell is very big. So happy October 9th to us gathered here today. And happy birthday to my dad. You are still alive, Dad, and so am I, which is big. You are what is happening today. And this is happening today. In this sentence, I am speaking and you are listening to all of us together. And Richard Siken is happening today. His combination Pizza Hut and Taco Bell, book of poems, and also essays is happening today. Poems and essays always happen every day, which is small, but sometimes also big. And I am very, very glad it's Richard Siken Day again here in our hearts, where it's always Richard Siken Day. Please welcome back to the University of Arizona Poetry Center, the very big indeed, Richard Siken and his big, big work.
Now, which one would I pick? Anyway. Maybe.
Here, I'm gonna leave them. You good?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right.
Hi. I had a stroke, and I fell down, and I forgot everything. and I don't know how to tell you about it. So I'm going to show it to you. Sidewalk. I crawled to the front door and swung it open so the ambulance could find me. It seemed like a strange thing to do since I hadn't called for an ambulance. So I crawled to the end of the sidewalk and sat there, which still didn't make sense. All the condos looked the same, so it was going to be difficult to find me if the door wasn't open. There was a noise in my head, and I couldn't afford an ambulance. So I called a friend to come and get me, and he wasn't happy. It felt weird. I went back and locked the door and stood in front of the house to wait for my friend. But I wasn't standing in front of the house. I was lying on the sidewalk with my face in my shoulder bag because I couldn't stand up and I was afraid it would scare my friend. So I rolled on my side and propped myself up with my weak arm while my legs sprawled out behind me. I held my bag tight to my chest and tried to look casual with my crooked smile and unfocused eyes. It was hard to keep my head up, but I kept smiling at the pavement and the blurry middle distance until I could see the wheels of a car and my friend's shoes. I felt like I was running to him, but I wasn't moving. The trees were tall and fast outside the car window. I kept apologizing. It was clear that something had happened that wasn't going to unhappen. In the emergency room, the woman at the desk kept asking me questions. All my answers were stroke, dizzy, numb. I kept saying the words in different ways so she would understand. She didn't. She didn't believe me. They put me in the waiting room, which I knew was wrong. And I realized that I had messed up because I didn't call for an ambulance. I kept falling asleep in the waiting room. I looked much worse, slack and crooked, the two sides of my face moving at different speeds. I went back to the desk and said, "Help." They put me in a room. No one believes that I know what I know because sometimes I miss a part or tell it sideways. Some people get stuck on the first thing you say and they don't let you finish your syllogism. They asked me the wrong questions. I gave the wrong answers. They thought I was faking it. I said numb. I meant getting numb, more numb, half of me mostly numb. They said lift your leg. I did, a few inches. It was heavy. They were mad. You aren't paralyzed. They kept missing the point. None of this was normal. I do know some things. I was making strange and ambiguous gestures. I was trying to tell them about the door and the ambulance and the sidewalk. The doctor decided I was having a panic attack and discharged me. Someone wheeled me to the curb. Someone else helped me into a car. Metonymy. Someone wheeled me to the curb. Someone else helped me into a car. We got to the condo and managed to get me down the stairs into the living room where I fell asleep on a mattress we put on the floor. I slept. I peed myself. I fell off the mattress. I fell out of chairs talking wildly. I scared them, whoever they were, the people I was supposed to know. I knew who James was. He was on the phone. He was in California. You can't stay there. You have to go to the hospital. You can go to a different hospital. I changed my clothes. It was like dressing a mannequin. Getting into the car, I fell on the emergency brake and broke my glasses. In the emergency room at the second hospital, the woman at the desk said, "Oh no, you've had a stroke." And they wheeled me in. The doctor was handsome, and it embarrassed me. For a while, I was talking to a brightness in the corner of the room. When they tried to give me a heparin shot, I threw a bedpan. I kept asking for someone over and over, the friend who took me to the first hospital. I said black tree when I meant night. I said the branches blow and we sleep in dirt. I said telephone, safe harbor. Perhaps you are. Perhaps you are diamonds. Bed. You have to understand, there was no noon, no down. Time passed, day turned to night. I woke and slept. I drank. I ate a bit. I slept. There were few nouns. They wouldn't connect. I didn't know fan. I kept kicking off the blankets and pulling off my clothes. The people came and went. I didn't know now. I couldn't find the latches, and every few hours I found myself at baseline, staccato, return to tonic. The light moved through its stations, soft white, blur white, buzz white, white, cream, tan, black. My dreams were flickers, my days were smears. I slept in a mechanical bed, 3 feet in the air. Time and more time. The questions were confusing. I answered in song lyrics and scraps of poetry. $29 and an alligator purse. It would have been funny, except for the yelling and the fear, the mind that didn't work, the leg that wouldn't move, the people who should have arrived but didn't. I pitched fits, cried jags, hair triggered. It was neurological, endless. Finally, they knocked me out. They clocked me. Landmark. All night, all the cities in the thickening darkness. All night, all the roads. All night, all the houses with their punched-in eyes in the sickening darkness. I slept on the roof. I slept in the yard. I slept in the closet under the cuffs of a dozen shirts when I thought there was something in the room with me. There was nothing in the room with me. I slept. Oh, pioneers, I kicked indoors. The sound of hooves, we must not tarry. Night has descended, and all its stars, they crackle and burn while I am left here, silent in the dimmed arena. I swear to God, there must have been a day on the beach or a secret dip in the lake after dinner. I must have walked all night against the wind once, trying to get somewhere. There must have been. I slept on the plaid couch. I slept in the house with the red kitchen. I fell out of bed and slept on the floor in a square of astonishing moonlight. I crawled there, hand over hand, from the darkness of a terrible dream. Believe me, something is heaving, incomprehensible. The house is filling up with strangers, and the picture frames fall off the walls. There isn't a word for it. Metal, powder, rust. a pair, even here, a night flight, a tense change, struck like a bell. What's that in your drink? Have you been here long? Oh, why won't you love me, love me? There isn't a word for it, moonlight, slippery. There isn't a word for it, moonlight, through every window at once. I concentrated on the moon. I dug a hole in the sky and called it the moon. A hole in the sky, and we call it the moon. Yardstick. Above the hospital, the moon kept shining. I wasn't anywhere, and I couldn't describe it. I couldn't stay awake. I mumbled, I stuttered. I crashed the words together or trailed off. I couldn't say it straight, so I tried saying around it. Dark struck, slumber felt, sleep clogged. My glasses were broken and my eyes wouldn't resolve. My stomach was bruised from the heparin shots. I turned in sleep, shouldering into the dark, glossy water. I practiced connecting. I measured the gaps. I started new dreams without finishing the last, sifting in sleep what I couldn't sift in daylight. I jumped from house to house through iterations of myself. My memories were inaccurate or out of order. They did not accumulate. What had made things follow had come apart, and the coming apart was no longer interesting. To link it up, to milk the cow and show the math to make the butter, to describe the green field, trampled or untrampled, was beyond me. Someone came every hour to check my blood pressure. I would raise my arm for the cuff without fully waking. My brother called. I told him not to come. I wasn't sure who he was, and I wouldn't be able to fake it. I couldn't lie, and I couldn't track. I made sentences, but couldn't remember them. It made me unreliable. It was uncomfortable to watch. I blathered in loops, repetitive, elliptical. I was overly invested and empathetically blurry. I had lost my poker face, my guile, and I was in danger of betraying my secrets and everyone else's. The bed was uncomfortable. I was heavy. I was bricks. Above the bed, the ceiling and the stars. Below the bed, the earth, and then out the other side, and stars. I fell in all directions. Several tremendous. Angel of crowning, and angel of breaching, angel of leavening, angel of grieving, angel of elbow, angel of bright, angel of terrible, monster of terrible, music and terrible, a big, small music and several terrible, thousand tremendous, blot everything out. The stars blot everything. Stop saying broken, stop saying broken. Angel of broken, angel of broken, angel of broken, angel of broken. Angel of headlights, angel of soap, angel of telephone. Hurry, red telephone. Even if my mouth is closed, even if the song ends, soup, glove, milk, chalk, raise the dead, finish the thought, cinder block, cinder block. Monsters of terrible, raise your tusks. Faucets of terrible, ignite the aqueducts. the ghost of sleeping, the ghost of thieving, the ghost of silence, the angel of silence, angel of silence, angel of silence, angel of silence, angel of silence. The list. I tried to say something nice to the nurse. I introduced myself. She said we had already met. I thought she was moody until I realized she was several nurses, each working their own shift. To them, I was Hamlet in a long line of Hamlets. My problems were unimpressive and not unique. I had a grief counselor, like everyone, and a suicide counselor because I had said the wrong thing. I wrote in my notebook. I made a list, a working glossary. My handwriting was big and crooked. Meat, blood, floor, thunder. I tried to understand what these things were and how I was related to them. Doorknob, cardboard, thermostat, agriculture. I understood north, but I struggled with left. Describing the world was easier than finding a place in it. The suicide counselor said the people who hadn't shown up weren't going to show up, that the ones who had stopped coming would not be coming back. She had seen it before. She saw it every day. The person they knew was gone. To them, I had broken the contract. I had left first, and they were already grieving. I started a second notebook for venom and hard feelings, things that would leak into the list if I let them. It was harsh and ugly. It was true and harsh and ugly, and it made me feel sick. What do I know? What do I know for sure? I built up meaning with a double set of books. A doorknob is a rock for the hand. It opens a hole in the wall. A doorknob is your stupid head. You will not survive this. The waves. The sky flashes and the great sea. The wind rises in the great sea, and there is no way to undo it. It swells and lashes. I clutched the rail at the side of the bed and stared at the wall. Drift is a C word. Adjust for drift. Start turning your boat now. I sat in the boat and the sky cracked open. It might as well have. I sat in the boat and yelled at the waves. I might as well have. I strung the words and everything under the shattered clouds in sentences, by which I mean, which is to say, the wine dark sea. It bruises where the oars strike. Hitched, step, stitched, thought what it is and where it wants to go. Someone needs to knot the rope. Someone needs to finish it, a single thought completely. That it could follow, that there could be a rosy-fingered wine-dark sea consequently breaking. I am the mermaid singing, twisted in the sheets. I am, I have, I know and say. I know, I have, I will and do. whitecaps and froth. I yelled at the waves. The ghost of myself slept deep. Try to finish the thought. Do not drop anchor here. That it could follow, that there could be a word and then another. I recalibrated and the light streaming completely down in shifts. Pull yourself out. I clutched the rail at the side of the bed all night, the light stuttering against the waves. What trips over terms and the names dragged up and knocking things over with the names of other things between the swells. The fingered dawn, the terrible shore, the complicated mooring. The subjunctive. It rained. It did. It had been raining. That it had been raining. That it could have been raining. That they wished it had not been raining. They would have been there. They might have been there. They could have. They hope that they eventually will be there. They expect they will. In the future, they will. In the future, it will stop raining, and they will. It will have stopped raining. When is now? He sleeps. He is sleeping. They hope that he is sleeping. They wait for him while he is sleeping, or they don't. He will be better after a while, or he won't. He will be better before long, or he won't. They have been thinking that he will be better, that they are hoping that he come back soon, that he come back to the way he was soon. Whether or not he comes back to the way he was soon, if he does, when he does, he is reaching, he is running, he is sleeping and running. May he be sleeping and running back to the way he was. Thank you.
One more big round of applause for these poets. Books are for sale over here on my right. Hope you'll come and buy some. Both on my right here and over here. Richard's are this way, Mathias's are this way. Come get both. They'll be happy to sign those. We hope to see you back on the 23rd for the reading with Tracy K. Smith, and that's in the HSIB building just about 5 minutes from here. Thanks for being here tonight. Great to be with you all. We'll see you next time.